Well, hello and a very good morning. Thanks for tuning in to News 9 Live. I'm Kabir Naqvi. Joining me here in the studio is my colleague and ardent and fellow newspaper reader, Varghese P. Abraham. And what we're essentially up to every day in the morning is to take a look at the overnight developments. What are some, headlines on English, Hindi, regional newspapers telling us. Varghese throws some, keen focused light on Kerala as well and helps us out with news coming in from down south. But that's not all. Viral videos on X and Instagram and what's doing the rounds on tabloid headlines and what's the internet abuzz with, that's also going to be our focus over the next couple of minutes.
We have said X because Twitter seems to be dead now. Nobody uses it. You're using X.
Yeah, I'm getting used to using the word X.
X.
I mean, usually, X on the internet just denotes a plethora of nasty elements and ghastly material and content as well. But at the same time, we have jotted down a list because Varghese and I come here earlier than you think, ladies and gentlemen, and we've, we have perused through the newspapers. There is a little list that we have created. Of course, Manipur is something that we're going to focus on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is going to finally give a reply in the parliament today. Yesterday, take a look at the front page. It says, you have set Manipur on fire, Rahul Gandhi to the government. And Shah says, you went and you did drama there. This is what is happening on that front. On the other hand, the ITLF leaders, the Cookiezo body, has met with the Home Minister Amit Shah yesterday. Details coming up on that. Manipur schools are going to reopen again today. So a couple of things when we're looking at Manipur particularly. On the other hand, Jammu and Kashmir, again on the front page here, it says if Jammu and Kashmir, if J&K statute is key, why is the constitution silent on it? Post 1957, neither the J&K government nor the state assembly ever recommended, nor the union government thought of amending the Indian constitution to bring in a reference to J&K constitution in the constitution applicable to J&K orders. Let me tell you, it was day 4 of the Supreme Court hearing, but and there is going to be another hearing today.
Since you're following up the hearing, there's so much of technicalities, right?
Absolutely,
with the relationship
absolutely.
to Jammu
Precedent
and Kashmir.
for future, rulings of such kind. And the CGI also made it very clear that Jammu and Kashmir we are trying to focus on it a little separately because it is a special case.
Okay.
Which is why it was special autonomy was given. But we'll touch upon that in just a little while. Also on that list is the new violence. Now what we're learning is, I think it was on the Tribune,
12
that Pakistani social media handles are now going to be under the probe lens.
And also, there is also a story saying that 1,002, I think it's in the Hindustan Times. I'll just give you that statistics fast so that we can start off. 1,208 structures raised, mostly of one community. 1,208
structures. So that number is not 700, Varghese.
No, that was
1,200 now.
In 5 days it's been.
Well, that is going to be our focus as well. Brij Bhushan, we played that headline as well, where he says touching and hugging does not amount to sexual violence.
Without sexual intent, that's how the lawyer has argued.
Of course, what Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh has done here is given fodder to all news channels today for a debate, because this is something that a lot of people out there would want to hear, talk about. They'd essentially want to understand whether hugging, touching constitutes sexual violence. I mean, we have our posh meetings and posh, summits here in the office as well, where we're made to understand what is a negative touch, what kind of touching works, it doesn't work. So there is a lot of subjectivity over there, a lot of grey area. We'll have to go through that as well. So ladies and gentlemen, do stick around. We're going to talk about Brij Bhushan as well. Pawan Kalyan's Yatra reaching Vizag, Gyanvapi, the key findings over there on the 6th and 7th day of the survey. Kerala to be renamed as Kerala. What's all that about? Varghese will throw some light on that. And United States was encouraged, it encouraged Pakistan to remove Imran Khan as the Prime Minister. Imran Khan always, that news and that man definitely sells here in India. And more importantly, when we're talking about Kerala, the IT department has now indicted Kerala Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan's daughter Veena T's firm Exological Solutions or something, I'm forgetting the name, for receiving money
for not doing work.
For not doing any work.
Oh, yeah.
So that is something that we're going to throw some light on. But first and foremost, let's not, without wasting any time, let's talk about what happened in the parliament yesterday and our light on Manipur, because the parliament, Manipur, basically it was a clean wash. All that was spoken about was Manipur. It was a no confidence motion that was tabled.
Rahul Gandhi
and Rahul Gandhi made that statement. He began by saying ki आपने हिंदुस्तान की हत्या कर दी है.
I mean,
And then that flying case ordeal.
You murdered. He said that you murdered India. You murdered India and Manipur. That is what he said.
You have
And then
set
you
Manipur
have
on
divided
fire.
and fractured Manipur.
This is what I'll do. So, for the no trust motion and against the no trust motion, for those of you who missed the parliament session yesterday, let's just quickly take them through this. For the no trust motion, it's firstly Rahul Gandhi. He says our Prime Minister hasn't even visited Manipur. For him, Manipur is not a part of India. I use the word Manipur, but the reality is there is no Manipur left. You have divided Manipur into two parts. You have broken it up. Today, BJP has sprinkled kerosene on the whole country, sprinkled it on Manipur, set it on fire, sprinkled on Haryana. That state too is burning. You are Deshdrohis, not patriots. Meanwhile, on the other hand, against the motion, against the no trust motion is Smriti Irani. Manipur is not divided. It is a part of this country and it will continue to be. You, the opposition, are not India because their alliance is called INDIA. Because you define corruption in India. You define incompetence. He, of course, talking about Rahul Gandhi, said he went on a yatra and gave assurances that they will restore Article 370. It will never be restored. And even as we say that, and Smriti Irani said that
The
in the
hearing is
parliament,
still
the
happening
hearings
in the
is
Supreme
still
Court.
happening. We'll talk about that as well. Now, again, for the no trust motion, Varghese, Rajiv Ranjan. When the situation in Manipur is being discussed, incidents from other states are being mentioned. And that was constantly being, mentioned. Smriti Irani spoke about pretty much every other state.
She spoke about Rajasthan. She went into history also. She went, spoke about the emergency.
Right.
She spoke about the rapes
She ended
that
her
are
speech
happening.
by saying that
I
Mughals
was
have
a
left,
little,
but
I mean, a little bit of historical aspects were also taken up. But the question was, it was all about Manipur, and then you had this mudslinging that was going on, saying that who was better than
Farooq Abdullah.
I never understood that holier than thou attitude from both of them. It's not that the Congress is, having a very clean page to hide about things and, to say that, you have, this, holier than thou attitude was there, nor has the treasury benches have that holier than thou attitude with them. So both of them have histories, and we as common people and as journalists, you and I know both have histories. Both have histories that if we start picking up now, it's going to become much more controversial. But yeah, you were saying about Farooq Abdullah.
Farooq Abdullah, and he's never uttered a word on Article 370. Every time the media personnel went up to Farooq Abdullah, all he said was कि अल्लाह का कोई घर नहीं होता, भगवान का कोई घर नहीं होता. What are you talking about this Gyanvapi? What are you talking about Article 370? He basically, shies away. He basically, I don't know if that's a diplomatic way of putting his opinion
probably
out.
to the fact
but
that you don't want to get
yesterday,
into trouble right now, as of now.
In the parliament yesterday, the responsibility of this nation is not only towards Hindus, but towards every person living in India. How many Kashmiri Pandits have you, the centre, brought back in these last 10 years? None, says Farooq Abdullah. Because Kashmir was part of Amit Shah's speech, Kashmir was part of Smriti Irani's speech. There were central points, and then finally Amit Shah's big bomb dhamaka that came in the evening. And he kept on saying, and he knows his way with words. He took a second to call out the other leaders of the opposition, also saying that this is just the trailer. Wait, I'm getting there. Wait, I'm getting there.
I know what you're going to speak on, but before you get onto, I'll just highlight some of the things, and then I'll give you that chance for that bomb. What Amit Shah actually said on Manipur, he said some interesting things. He said on steps taken by the centre, the PM called me at 4:30 a.m. and then woke me up again with a call the next day at 6 a.m. For 3 straight days, we worked to ensure peace. That's what he said. Then he said, we are ashamed of what happened. There is no doubt of this. However shameful what transpired was, it's even more shameful to indulge in politics, politicizing of the matter. On the video of paraded women, he said, why did the video surface a day before the parliament session was to begin? If whoever had that video,
they could have given it to the DGP.
Exactly, they could have given it to this thing. And then on the opposition, he said they don't want a debate, they just want to protest. They've not let the Home Minister talk on it. What kind of democratic system do they want? And then, of course, I know what you're going to bring it up.
And then, well, no, I mean, you pretty much said it all. He just did not stop. And yesterday people were constantly, talking about whether Rahul Gandhi's speech was better or was Smriti Irani's speech better. What's your take on that?
See, if you look at the kind of rebuttal that we were looking at, Rahul Gandhi stuck to that fact on only one aspect, that is to talk about Manipur. And then he weaved that entire thing into the narrative of Bharat Mata as well. And then you see the how that entire messaging is there. You have an alliance called INDIA. You have Rahul Gandhi actually speaking in terms of Bharat Mata. And who is Bharat Mata? Bharat Mata is the clarion call for the people on the treasury benches as well. Because Bharat Mata ki Jai is one of the biggest slogans that they have been using. So he used the word Bharat Mata very consciously. It was not that he didn't use it, this thing just like out of others. He used it very consciously, and he in fact went on to weave it with the narrative that you have murdered her. What have you murdered, Bharat Mata, in Manipur? You have divided, you have fractured. This is what the accusation he put against the treasury benches.
Right.
That is interesting enough. Then in the rebuttal, when you come to Smriti Irani did take up the issue, but she should have focused only on Manipur, and she should have actually spoken about Manipur rather than going around the bush and talking about histories, because that is what I was trying to say.
Do you think
nobody can
help what's
you can't
actually
have that
happening in
holier than
Manipur?
thou attitude over here. And I think the speech was more, the kind of rebuttal that we are looking at was mostly delivered by H.M. Amit Shah.
Exactly. Let's follow what Amit Shah was actually talking about. Let's not politicize it. So let's delve away from what happened in the parliament. Of course, it was a bid by the Congress and the opposition to make the Prime Minister speak, which we will focus on again today when he speaks and gives his reply in the parliament. But does that affect actually what's happening in the ground? Take a look at what's happening in Manipur. Today the schools are going to reopen in certain places. But more than that, the Meira Paibis have submitted a referendum to the Prime Minister. So has the
Memo they had, I think.
a memo, asking for the removal of the Assam rifles. On the other hand, you also have the Kuki NP, Manipur, the apex body of the Kuki-Zo tribal bodies. They have submitted their referendum that, either tell the world that we are Indians
or we are immigrants.
Or we're immigrants. Or, I mean, call us out, basically. Because if we're Indians, then you better come and protect us over here.
As citizens of the country. And if you're not, and also look at the complication. Of course, you were talking about how the memo has been given for removing of Assam rifles. But at the same time, the Manipur police has filed FIRs against the Assam rifles, saying that they were obstructing duties. So what happened yesterday also, we come to that question, is that it looks like the different paramilitary forces and the police are all on different pages, and you're unable to. And in the speech also, Rahul Gandhi said that the Indian army could have restored order in one day. You did not allow them to do. That is, another accusation that he had put forward. But then, interestingly enough, Amit Shah was the only person who I think gave a proper rebuttal when it comes to what Rahul Gandhi had. He is probably powerful enough to counter that.
What Rahul Gandhi said yesterday about Manipur, that the army can bring peace. And people have been talking about, how a president's rule at this point in time is actually the only option left in front of the central government. Do you think it's the only option left in front of the central government? And can the army really bring in peace as swiftly as Rahul Gandhi was
See, the army, our army especially, is well known to have been used in certain law and order situations. They know how to bring in order as fast as possible. But again, Kabir, remember, in the initial 2-3 weeks of that violence that happened in Manipur, we were actually discussing about how the situation pertained on the ground, because some of the army, they were saying that they were being blocked. There was non-cooperation from the Manipur police.
Right.
They were being blocked by people, their vehicles they had to leave, and they have to march on foot straight to the places where the violence was taking place.
Take a look at this. Backing Chief Minister N. Biren Singh, Amit Shah appeals with folded hands to Kukis and Metis to come for talks. Urging the Kukis and Metis to come to the talks table, Union Home Minister Amit Shah on Wednesday appealed with folded hands for restoration of peace in Manipur, which has seen continuing violence for over 3 months now. Shah was speaking during the debate on the no confidence motion in Lok Sabha, which later adopted a resolution appealing for peace in the state. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to reply in the House today, while Amit Shah blamed the Manipur High Court for triggering the violence. He ruled out a change of guard in the state, because people have been saying that, when it comes to Gujarat, you've changed the guard like this. Why not change the guard like this?
3 chief ministers in 5 years.
Why not change the guard? And that's not just Gujarat. I mean, changing has worked for the BJP as well. It was something that works for a party, they'll of course do it. And it's not just Gujarat. We've got several other examples as well. Basavaraj Bomai from Yediyurappa, of course, the Gujarat.
No, the BJP has been doing it. But see, over here, I think they are in a catch-22 situation. Because in Manipur, removing Biren Singh would be seen as trying to, punish the Metis. and listening, and so the government is in a very catch-22 situation, because Biren has emerged more than a community leader right now during this period of violence. So I think to touch Biren Singh would be to alienate the Meiteis completely, and that would something that has been putting them into the catch-22 situation. And there have been a lot of efforts to keep the cookies also on the same page, and therefore that effort to keep the cookies also will be lost if they go ahead and don't change. So this is the catch-22 situation that they are in.
But more importantly, a catch-22 situation for the parents, isn't it? Because and we've been getting those visuals of the violence, continued violence. In that situation, after nearly a closure of about 2 months due to these clashes, schools in Manipur are set to reopen for classes 9 to 12th from the 10th of August. I'm reading a Mint online copy. It says the report, citing an order, stated that there are currently 1,229 schools in Manipur having classes 9 to 12th run by different managements. However, resumption of schools will not be applicable to 28 schools currently involved in relief measures. Separate order for resumption of these schools will be issued later. Adequate compulsory measures will be taken up for the students of these schools so as to prevent any learning loss. All zonal educational officers under the Department of Education schools Manipur are hereby directed to inform all concerned and take up necessary actions accordingly, reports have stated, citing Director L. Nanda Kumar Singh of Directorate of Education. Now, the state government also collected a report on the number of school children in relief camps. It added that from pre-primary to class 12th, presently 4,700 students are staying in relief camps. This is what the news is.
That's a huge number of children in relief camps, and relief camps is not the place. It tends to traumatize them, and also there have been efforts to actually alleviate that.
This right here, in terms of the Manipur's political chessboard, MNF, which is essentially the Mizo National Front, which is an NDA ally in Mizoram, has backed the no trust motion.
This is going to be
Mizoram
very,
Chief Minister
very
Zoram
complicated.
This is Mizoram Chief Minister Zoram Thanga's Mizo National Front, who is an ally of the BJP-led National Democratic Alliance. It will back the opposition's no confidence motion against the Modi government over its handling of ethnic conflict in Manipur. Because the state's lone Loksabha MP C. Lalrosanga said on Wednesday. So that is big news.
That is actually big news, because it just shows how much of fracturing has happened because of the Manipur issue. And well, the ties between the Mizos and the cookies, it is there. It's kinship ties that are there. So the Mizoram government cannot, look the other way when it comes to the cookies. And Zoram Thanga has been doing a lot of back channel talks to ensure that, some kind of negotiations keep going on between the cookies, the Meiteis, as well as the central government. So he has, in fact, been able to lean over the cookies to find some kind of avenue to have talks with the center. And one of the things that actually pointed out is that Amit Shah asking them to come to the peace table. But that peace
that happened inside the parliament, which I really like.
I really appreciate that step.
With folded hands, you're talking to both the communities.
But at the same time, it has been a non-starter, that peace committee.
But what about the Cookizo delegation, the ITLF leaders that were in Delhi? They've been in Delhi since Monday evening.
They met him, right?
They met the Home Minister yesterday, just taking you through it really quickly. A delegation from the Indigenous Tribal Leaders Forum, the ITLF, which represents the Cookizo community, met with Home Minister Amit Shah on Wednesday to discuss their demands in an effort to bring peace in Manipur. The meeting was held as a follow-up of the appeal issued by the Government of India on August 3rd, which had asked the people to amicably resolve the issue of burial of the mortal remains of the victims of the Manipur violence. The ITLS has decided to bury 35 martyrs of the violence, but the Home Minister asked to defer the burial for 7 more days, assuring us that they will solve the issue. This is coming from the spokesperson of the ITLF. We were supposed to meet him yesterday, but we couldn't due to the parliament debate, which is something that I had called out. I mean, not that it was any difficult to catch. We met him this morning to put forward our demands, he said. According to the ITLF, the Home Minister requested them to not insist on carrying out the burial program at the venue, which is in the crosshairs at that point. It's important that
because that burial site has been an issue that
site is not used because more bloodshed is the last thing that we need, ladies and gentlemen. Meanwhile, all eyes on Prime Minister's,
the speech that we are going to see today.
The Parliament today. even as Mizoram's Chief Minister Zoramthanga and his party, the Mizo National Front, the MNF, who's an ally of the NDA, has backed the opposition's no confidence motion. All right, ladies and gentlemen, shifting our focus here, talking really quickly about Article 370. That hearing has been ongoing in the Supreme Court. It was day 4 yesterday. Today is going to be day 5, and it's the final day of the week. Tuesdays, Wednesdays and Thursdays were allocated specifically to hear this particular hearing. But you know what's more important here is the obiter dicta. The conversations between Sibul and the CJI. Yesterday it was former Solicitor General Gopal Subramanian who was making who was making those arguments, and the obiter dicta over there was also very fascinating and interesting. You know, the way with the words that he used, he said, via Article 370 and Article 1, the Constitution of India and the Constitution of Jammu and Kashmir speak to one another. Okay. It's important that you understand how these two constitutions are talking to one another. And to understand how these constitutions talk to one another, you need to go back into the sensitivities and the economics and the scenario, the society of when the constitution came up. 1957 is when the Constituent Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir came into existence. The High Court of Jammu and Kashmir, the Constituent Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir, they're all based on Jammu and Kashmir's constitution. Right? Okay. So this is what happened in the court yesterday. Just a recap of all that has happened. Earlier, Kapil Sibal has already said that, you know, how can you use an executive act to carry out a political act? Political act in the sense that, you know, when you're talking about the abrogation, you're essentially talking about the will of the people. So talk to the people at least. If it's a political act, don't just pass a legislation in the parliament.
Also, interestingly, since you raised about the constitution, CJ D.Y. Chandrachud also stressed that the Indian constitution is the only constitution for the entirety of the country, including Jammu and Kashmir, which acceded to India in October 1947. So this is how the CGI is in fact trying to assess when it comes to this. And you're talking about how that, interestingly, you're talking about the, the talks about whether Indian constitution is speaking to Jammu and Kashmir constitution. But if the CGI is insisting that there is only one constitution for the entirety of the country, I think that argument did not go well then.
This is what the CGI says. This is what the CGI says. Let's quote the man right. As he said it. When the state is under president's rule, after dissolution of the assembly, can the governor not promulgate an ordinance in J&K? Can the president not issue an ordinance applicable to Jammu and Kashmir? What can be the restraint is what the CGI is asking, because now the CGI, it seems, has understood that, it's important to note the intricacies and how, these might become problems and legal hurdles later on for the future, which is what Kapil Sibal also said. I'm not worried about the past, my lord. I'm worried about the future of my country. Can J&K claim autonomy after accepting India's sovereignty is another big question. How do you claim autonomy after you've acceded to India? And yesterday, Gopal Subramaniam also kept on talking about how in the speeches of Abdullah from the time from the 1939, 1940s, since the establishment of the Constituent Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir, they said that in all those speeches, there were several chances for the Constituent Assembly of Jammu and Kashmir to omit Article 370, to not take in Article 370, but not once did they remove the provisions or the proviso of Article 370. They haven't done it. And in several speeches, it's also mentioned that it's important that Article 370 stay back. So is it temporary? Is it permanent? Was it needed? This big question, can J&K claim autonomy after accepting, by now you're part of India? What kind of sovereignty do you need now?
That's why, see, that is where I think Chandrachud makes that statement, saying that when you come to the Constitution of India, there's only one Constitution for the entirety of this country. And just a little bit, I'm trying to move out this. There's a similar kind of a demand when it comes to the Nagaland factions as well. They're asking for a separate constitution and a separate flag, just like how Jammu and Kashmir was having. So I think that those talks are stuck at that level as well, whether a separate constitution and a flag can be given for the factions fighting in Nagaland for the greater Nagaland, as they in fact call. But I think with Jammu and Kashmir's integration, and Jammu and Kashmir also played around with these issues as well, having a separate flag and a separate constitution. but you know, certain aspects of the Indian constitution being overriding over those constitutions. So I think that is something that we need to keep a keen eye on, and probably I think what Chandrachud is saying is that if you are acceded a part of India, rest of all the other states have become parts of India. They actually swore by the Indian constitution. So the Indian constitution reigns supreme is what
I've just opened these pages and I must talk about it. It's so heartwarming to see that the Nagas of Manipur have resisted fragmentation of the hills and have upped the ante for the peace deal. Remember, we were talking about the Naga Council rallies that the Kuki body had
also given support.
Body had backed, had supported. Well, they're talking about upping the ante for a peace deal. At least somebody in the three, players on the ground, at least somebody's talking about peace. But coming back to the Article 370, yesterday Gopal Subramaniam also spoke about how the accession of Jammu and Kashmir was unique. It wasn't like any other princely states, but look at what I'm reading here. It says, why J&K accession was no different from others. 500 princely states signed similar pacts. Petitioners challenging the validity of centre's decision to completely merge Jammu and Kashmir legally, administratively and constitutionally with India by ending its 70-year-long special status under Article 370 hinged on two arguments. The instrument of accession allowed India to control defence, communication and foreign relations, and that J&K had a pre-accession constitution. Two questions arise over here. Was the instrument of accession signed by Maharaja of Kashmir Hari Singh on October 26, 1947, while facing Pakistan-backed external aggression, any different from those signed by 500-odd other princely states, and whether no other princely state had pre-accession constitution? Those are the two questions. And yes, it's true, 1939 is when Jammu and Kashmir had a constitution. They had a constitution before they acceded to India, and at the same time, our defense, those four particular structures.
Foreign affairs, defense and security matters would be in the purview of the center.
In the center. So was that the case or not? And this is what the Supreme Court says. It says nothing in the statute bars the center from modifying constitution orders.
Since you were also following it up, it looks like that there was a lot of ambiguous areas left between Jammu and Kashmir's constitution as well as the Indian constitution. Right. How they in fact. So again, remember we are talking about Delhi.
The CGI and the councils are trying to understand what's happening inside the courtroom. How do you expect people outside to understand what's really happening inside the courtroom?
Because there's so much of technicalities. I mean, you're the one who's been following it.
And it's it always stops. Why I'm saying obiter dicta is really interesting in this particular cases, because it keeps on stopping. Kapil Sibal says something, Subramaniam says something, and then the judges, they say, all right, wait, hold on, and then they're talking amongst themselves. And the senior most judges of the country are talking among themselves. Maybe it's happening. There is so much of discourse amongst themselves. So
I think even they are also trying to understand how this relationship with Jammu and Kashmir is going to be like. And
absolutely.
Remember we were talking about Delhi saying that the court will define what creature Delhi is. It looks like the court is going to define how Jammu and Kashmir's complete accession
maybe that will throw some light on what Delhi finally is and what it means to the people of the national capital.
All right.
Shifting our focus here, ladies and gentlemen, in New, how about you pick up that Tribune story?
Kabir, over here, one concerning fact is that.
So, New violence, let's just, put it out there. So, New violence, it happened, it's now been almost 2 fortnights, at least 1.5 fortnights, about 15 odd days. 1,200 houses that have been razed in that bulldozer action. High Court has come in, it stopped the bulldozer action. It said that is this ethnic cleansing that's going on? There is complete communal bias on the ground. People are asking for identification cards. It's like pure Auschwitz and Nazi era movie that you're looking at. People are now wanting to know whether you're Hindu or you're Muslim. Meanwhile, those 50 panchayats that had issued letters to boycott Muslim traders, 2 of those panchayats have taken them back. The Mahapanchayat that was carried out in Guru on
2
the
people have been
Gurgaon,
booked for it.
People have been booked in that particular hate speech crime. But more importantly, this Pakistan social media angle. What's all of that about, Varghese?
Well, the Pakistani social media angle is very interesting, because it says that at least 12 social media groups traced to Pakistan played a pivotal role in new clashes, the police have said. The groups being run on WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter and Telegram Twitter, which is X now, Telegram, with thousands of followers from across Mewat region of Haryana and Rajasthan, were allegedly professing hatred through daily broadcasts, they said. The groups not only instigated mobs to give it all for the community during the riots, but were flooded with celebratory messages after the attack. A majority of the suspects nabbed have been found to be active members of these social media groups. So social media accounts being run from Pakistan are under the scanner for instigating the flare-up in Nu. Though the majority of these have deleted the chats, we are trying to retrieve the data. So it's a huge investigation that is going on. A forensic cyber investigation is going into it to find out as to what were the outside factors that were trying to instigate the situation.
This is Sarpanch Krishna at her house. Sarpanch Krishna, Sarpanch of Haryana village. Right before entering Haryana's Saharanavas village, one is greeted with a small structure housing a mazar, which is a shrine, juxtaposed with pictures of Hindu gods nestled between a few trees on the main road. This is a symbol of harmony and coexistence in our village, said Vikas, a resident of the village. The village, though, is now in news for a diktat issued by the Panchayat recently, asking locals to boycott Muslims. Now, Saharanvas is among villages in Rewari where the boycott call was recently issued, exhorting locals to not conduct business with and rent out houses to Muslims. On Wednesday, the Sarpanch issued a letter withdrawing her earlier statement, and it's a female Sarpanch, Sarpanch Krishna, who's withdrawn that particular letter. What a beautiful imagery that they've tried to create right here.
In fact, see,
right before you enter Haryana's Saharanvas village, one is greeted with a small structure housing a mazar, which is a shrine, juxtaposed with pictures of Hindu gods nestled between a few trees on the main road.
Well, I think that is the kind of communal harmony we should be looking at. We were talking about some of the statistics, right? 1,208 structures raised mostly of one community. Now, this is what the Hindustan Times, the lead says. One district, 11 towns and hamlets, 5 days, 1,200 buildings and other structures, overwhelmingly Muslim-owned, 37 sites, 72.1 acres. This is the actual statistics of that demolition that we are talking about. That's the demolition track record of the Haryana government in Nu district following communal violence in region in which 6 people were killed and 88 were injured. The numbers separately confirmed by 2 people with direct knowledge of the matter, with a random sampling cross-checked by the reporters of this newspaper. In every location we visited, the property was found to be owned by Muslims, would likely have been higher if not for the Punjab and Haryana High Court's intervention on August 7th. The court asked the state if it was indulging in ethnic cleansing, giving the one-sidedness of the demolitions before staying them. According to official data, demolished properties were spread across the cities and villages of Nu, Nalar, Punhana, Tarur, Nangal, Mubarakpur, Shahpur, Agon, Addar Chowk, Nalar Road, Tiranga Chowk and Nagina. It was among the largest demolitions in the region has ever seen. So, I mean, that's really bad statistics that we are looking at. And here,
not just bad, it's also dangerous at the same time.
Dangerous statistics that we are actually looking at.
So 2K CCTV camera set up in Ghaziabad to check snatching and burglary is also what I'm picking up here on the page. Just to give you, a roundup of what's happening in the Delhi city. But a new violence, at least it's coming, a little bit under control. Dushyant Chautala, he's already said, he's the Deputy Chief Minister, and he's categorically said that, we're trying to bring things under control again. You can look at the visuals, how, the security has been amped up. It's already beefed up on the ground. And let's hope that the situation returns to normal. I was speaking to A.K. Jain, who's the former DGP of Uttar Pradesh. And he was of the opinion that, rioters should be brought to book instantly. You shouldn't really let go. Well, wow, Varghese, this is something that I've just picked up. Well, so the murder part of the speech has been expunged. Rahul Gandhi's murder part of the speech was expunged from
the statements of the records.
In the records of Lok Sabha. Also shifting our focus here, ladies and gentlemen, let's quickly also talk about Well, we've covered up SC, we've covered up what's happening in Manipur and the parliament, we've covered up what's happening in Nu. Bridge Bhushan, you want to talk about? You want to move towards Kerala?
I think we'll take Bridge Bhushan first, because I think that's a statement that has been made, and interestingly enough, you know, the papers have also covered it, and I think it is a
all of them,
all of them have covered it, and you know, the thing about it is that I think it is the lawyer which hugging without any sexual intent, not offence. This is what Bridge Bhushan's lawyer has said. Former WFI chief Bridge Bhushan Saran Singh on Wednesday refuted allegations of sexual harassment.
He was at the Rouse Avenue court essentially yesterday.
And questioned delay of 5 years by women wrestlers in levelling the accusations against him. Singh said if a coach, in the excitement of a win, hugs a player without any sexual intent, it cannot be made into a sexual harassment offence. Advocate Rajiv Mohan, appearing for Singh, argued that an offence under IPC 354A, sexual harassment, can only be made out if there is a sexual intent. Now, you're supposed to, in fact, it's going to be very difficult, right? When you're talking about, when he says that in the, you know, happiness of that argument, you go hug a player, does it have an intent? How do you prove that intent? All those things it looks like the defense is building up a case on these fronts. But then, if you look at the kind of statements that was in fact given by the victims of this, you know, him inappropriately touching, trying to say that he was trying to assess their breathing and other things. Well, it is kind of a mix, and they think they're trying to in fact pick holes in those statements so that they can mount a defense.
If Bridge Bhushan says that merely touching does not amount to criminal activity, who's deciding whether it amounts to criminal activity?
That's what I'm saying. They're trying to pick up holes, and they're trying to in fact build a very a defense on that, and trying to, you know, push it off as some kind of professional act that he had carried out.
Building a defense on merely touching, you know, merely hugging, these words, they're not going to go down well in the female community.
It's not going to go well.
What about the credibility of Bridge Bhushan Saran Singh himself?
That's what I was saying. If you look at the kind of statements that was made by them, this is how it had panned out, especially when it comes to the victims. I was saying that, right? He tried to pass it off, saying that he was trying the breathing exercises, he was trying to see whether they are fit and all. He's trying to push a kind of narrative saying that he was only doing it professionally, and in professional you tend to have such things to be done. My question is, I think if the woman found it uncomfortable, and it is, that means she well understood that it was not done in professional
I'll just
manners.
read out some you know, arguments that were laid out by the advocate appearing for Bridge Bhushan. He says, merely touching a woman without sexual intent, and you know what, get down in the comment section, ladies and gentlemen, what do you make out of this particular argument that has been leveled in the court for Bridge Bhushan Saran Singh in that sexual harassment case? It says, merely touching a woman without sexual intent doesn't involve criminal activity. The event is a wrestling event. The coaches are mostly male. If out of anxiety or joy of doing something for the nation, a coach hugs his student, it shouldn't be considered an offence. Advocate Rajiv Mohan, appearing for Bridge Bhushan Saran Singh, tells the additional Chief Metropolitan Magistrate Harjeet Singh Jaspal. That's what's happened. He also said that some of the cases mentioned by the wrestlers were outside the territorial jurisdiction of the Delhi court, and that cases that occurred outside India cannot be tried by the court without a sanction from the central government.
Look at that. Now look at that. Look at how they are looking at all the technicalities of it, trying to in fact find an escape.
Ladies and gentlemen, get down in the comment sections and
Kabir,
help me understand what is it and how is it that the public is viewing these statements coming out of you know,
Kabir,
the sitting member of parliament.
I think we should one thing. Remember Kalavati,
right?
I think we should speak about that Kalavati episode also from the parliament before we in fact move out. Kalavati was in fact mentioned by Rahul Gandhi. And
Kalavati was mentioned by Amit Shah
as well. And whether Kalavati got her house, she didn't get help. And then Amit Shah claiming that Kalavati got help because of Narendra Modi, and that Kalavati was only used for a parliamentary debate. And then what happened when our reporter in fact goes and finds out?
Both sides said that they helped Kalavati.
Yes.
This widow.
But did Kalavati actually get that help?
You know, all right. Do we have that reaction? Let me just check with the control room once. Do we have that reaction from Kalavati? Well, we're going to quickly play that out. I've been told that we'll play that out. We'll end the show with the reaction coming from Kalavati, because whether the BJP helped Kalavati or did the Congress help Kalavati, well, TV9 and you know, our colleague from TV9 went there and we'll tell you exactly who helped Kalavati, because we've spoken to Kalavati and Kalavati's son as well. Shifting our focus over here now, Varghese, let's talk about Kerala. Two stories coming out of Kerala. Number one, Kerala Chief Minister's daughter, Veena T's firm Exological Solutions, is under the ED lens. She's been indicted by the IT department, I beg your pardon, the income tax department, for getting 1.7 crore rupees from CMPL. I'm forgetting the name of the company also. And mind you, CMPL is also owned in partnership with the Kerala government.
Okay.
So CMPL, the company, it gave 1.7 crore rupees to Exological Solutions, a company that is owned by Kerala Chief Minister's daughter, for doing, well, absolutely nothing. That is the case. And after this indictment, people are saying that, Pinarayi Vijayan himself could face some sort of probe in this, Prevention of Corruption Act as well. And graft charges, graft allegations on Pinarayi Vijayan is also something not new. You remember the Kerala gold scam now, don't you? And several other scams as well, some housing scams that are taking place.
A life mission scam, there was also a life mission scam that was in place, and then right now,
is this essentially a bigger problem for Pinarayi Vijayan?
In fact, I think that is what most of the Malayalam media is taking up. I'll just read some of the headline. എന്ത് സഹായമാണ് മുഖ്യമന്ത്രി തിരിച്ചു നൽകിയത്? ഹരിശ്ചന്ദ്രൻ ചമയുന്ന യെച്ചൂരി മറുപടി പറയണമെന്ന് Surendran, that is BJP Surendran, is saying that what help did the chief minister give, especially when it came to his daughter's firm, and that
at least in Kerala, the Congress and the BJP,
and Yechuri needs to speak.
At least in Kerala, the BJP and the Congress protest together against Kerala Chief Minister.
Another thing is that, of course, the number that was a Mukhyamandriyude Magalkku Swagarya Companyil ninnu Masapadi kittiyathu 1.72 crore. I mean, 1.72 crores is what they're saying, that this is taken up by, the V.D. Sadishan. He says that Mukhyamandri Pinarayi Vijayante Magalkku Veenakku Swagarya Companyil ninnu Masapadiyayi 3 varshathinide, that is every month this amount was given, and it added up to 1.72 crores rupa ലഭിച്ചതായി ആരോപണം. That is saying it's an accusation. മാസപ്പടിയായി ബന്ധപ്പെട്ടുള്ള ഈ വിവാദം നിയമസഭയിൽ ആയുധമാക്കാൻ പ്രതിപക്ഷത്തിന്റെ ശ്രമം. That is, the opposition is trying to raise this issue in the assembly. So it's going to be a stormy session in the Kerala assembly over this, Kabir. So in Kerala, this is going to be the biggest story of the day, and as I can see, a lot of them in the last 24 hours have been picking up this. In Mathrubhumi also, Veena Vijayan Krama Viruddhamai Panam Mangi, that is to say, she has taken the money against the laws. Mukhyamandri Marubadi Parayanamennu Matthew Kuralnadan. So this is another MLA has in fact raised this issue, saying that the chief minister will have to give a reply. So in Kerala, they are all focusing on Vijayan, and Vijayan is expected to give a reply.
What about the credibility of Pinarayi Vijayan's daughter?
Well, she has her own IT firm. She has her own IT firm. She came into the picture, the issue about whether a lot of these backroom software contracts were being given to her firm. So there was scrutiny on that. Then with regard to this aspect of it as well. So data that was collected during the COVID time, whether it was taken by her firm and sold, all those issues were in fact being brought to light. So she had been in focus over there, and opposition has been using her. But even in the gold smuggling case, there was this accusation that was put on against her by the people who were involved in that scam as well, who said that Veena Vijayan would in fact was trying to find out whether with one of the UAE Emirates, whether they can set up a software park over there. So that was something that was in fact looked into as well. So there are series of accusations that have been put at Veena Vijayan, but then it has been very political when we look at it, because everyone, after speaking about Veena Vijayan, immediately used to say that the Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan is supposed to speak about it. And this is another issue that has come with regard to Veena Vijayan in front of the assembly. And today I think it is going to be a stormy session, especially on this, because all the opposition leaders are asking one thing, that he has to go ahead and speak about it immediately. So they are all expecting a reply from Vijayan over this payment.
So today,
And it was for a period of 3 years they've been giving this money, every month on a monthly basis.
1.72 crore rupees across 3
3
years,
years.
2017 to 2020.
So
wow.
So
it seems like it's really planned, it's really precise. लेकिन अब ये पकड़ा जा चुका है मेरे ख्याल से.
I don't know. Let's
So,
see
of
what
course,
the reply from Chief Minister would be, because
I'm not
it's-
saying they're at
because
fault.
the word that they use is arobanam, which means to say
I
it's
was
an
just reading,
accusation.
the Dainik Bhaskar, and it says India versus Pakistan. It was a hockey match yesterday. I don't know how I missed it. I just don't know about this one. 4-0 is the score line with which we beat Pakistan. Harmanpreet Singh scored at the 15th minute. Harmanpreet Singh scored again on the 23rd minute. Is it a hat-trick? No, it's not a hat-trick. You've got Jugraj Singh on the 33rd minute, and then finally on the 55th minute, Akashdeep Singh. All Singhs for us over here.
One of the biggest stories that we should be looking at right now, Rajini's jailer. You're not speaking about it.
But before Rajni's jailer, you're making me go, you're digressing too much, Varghese. I really wanted to take up the Keralam story. I mean, what's happening on that front? Kerala, the state of Kerala, to be renamed as Keralam is, how does one go about that?
See, for me, it was unanimously passed, and it was about in Malayalam, and in Malayalam it is called Keralam. But for a lot of memes were going on. One person asked, "What is the point of?" I mean, one of the memes that was said was, "What is the use of this to all Malayalis?" Okay, that is the first question
Right.
some people ask.
What does
Changing from
Keralam mean? What does Keralam mean?
See, it is an official, this thing in the Malayalam language. It is called Keralam. And apparently when the state of Kerala was formed, because for Malayalam speaking people, it went parallel with the independence movement as well. 3 regions of the current day Kerala, which is Malabar, Cochin and Travancore, were merged to form the state of Kerala. And of course we lost some districts, we gained some districts and all that, but that is again during the linguistic reorganization that we were looking at. So at that time it
But
was
this
being said
particular
that-
statement, Keralam is much more in tune with the Malayalam language.
Yeah, so
coming in
it is.
from the
It's
state
about
government.
it is about. See, when you say Kerala or Keralam, Keralam is what many of them say that it is there. But for me, the biggest issue has been is that if you look at the official sign, also it is written as Kerala Sarkar. Kerala is what has been used, and all your, even in the English language or any other language, even in Malayalam, when you address a person from Kerala, you actually say Keralite, or in Malayalam Keralathil ninnu vanna, in the sense to say from Kerala.
In Hindi also they say Keral se aaye.
So I mean, and your entire tourism
And
program.
I know that you're adding just a small little M to the K.
You are adding an M, but it tends to
But
be.
it's going to be such a big administrative problem.
I mean, you have to change everything.
Everything will have to
has to be
change.
changing, and plus, the entire state has been Kerala, God's own country. Now it will be Keralam, God's own country. I mean, look at the kind of branding issues also you're going to face. But I think they are very happy about it because it's unanimously passed without any of this thing. But in social media, there are a lot of debates about it. Like, does it change anything on the ground? It's going to be the same bad roads. It's going to be the same, bad administration in certain parts of that. This thing. It's going to be the same. This thing. So it's going to be. Of course, you wouldn't have the right to say it, but I can say that. It's going to be the same thing. So it's just that you had an M, and you say that it is fine-tuned.
Kerala works just fine, right?
Kerala works just fine.
Just fine, right?
Just fine.
Kerala works just fine. You get down in the comment sections, Kerala or Keralam. Help us out over there as well. This is another debate. So Brij Bhushan is one debate that people can talk about. This is another debate. I was reading that Russia has launched its own moon mission called Luna, which is going to launch tomorrow.
And in 5 days it will reach
it's still going to make it on the moon before Chandrayaan.
That is because we use gravity
we're
and
taking
they
our
are
own
using
time. We're taking our own time.
Yeah.
We don't traverse over there as often. We're taking our own time. It's not the destination that matters. It's a journey, my friend. We've taken so long around the earth. Now we're taking our own time outside the moon also. We'll get there. We'll get there in good time. Let's shift our focus to the Jailer mania now, ladies and gentlemen. Jailer is releasing today. Rajnikant's movie. What's the synopsis like? I mean, of course, there's going to be action. Of course, there is going to be great dialogue delivery.
I actually wanted to go and
that,
watch it on first day for sure only. But I have covered Rajnikant's movie. I remember the last time when I covered was Kabali. I was at a theatre, and that was in Bangalore. Bengaluru, when I was covering this thing, there was there was a fan show that started way back at 2 a.m. 2 a.m. a fan show was there, and you should just see.
Look at the crowd. Look at the crowd.
Yeah. You should just see the electric atmosphere that is there when it comes to Rajini's movies.
And
it's almost like a festival, like dedicated to
huge
Rajnikant.
festival.
You don't see this in the national capital. Take a look at this. Firecrackers. Again, you remember what happened with Annathe as well? And people said that Annathe wasn't as good as the movie. Of course, all those Rajnikant fans out there currently watching the stream or will probably watch the repeat of this.
Exactly, this is the kind of mania that I had seen when Kavali also was released, because that was when that's one that I had covered.
Well, the J is missing over there. It's only Ayler, but
I think,
and that's probably the star cast. So, tell us about the synopsis, Varghese.
Well, see, what we understand is that it is a cop story about a retired cop who is minding his own business, and then there is some kind of a situation that arises because of which he has to become that cop that a lot of people feared, and then people from his own family starts trying to get to know what was happening on the other side, okay, in the sense that they try to rediscover this person. You know, there are some similarities with this movie Basha. If you've seen the Basha, it's about auto driver who has a past of being one of the biggest dons.
This rags to riches angle really works well with Rajnikant.
See, Rajnikant, this is not more of a rags to riches person. I think this is more, this story is more about alter identity that Rajni never spoke about. I mean, his character never spoke about to his family, and his family slowly starts discovering, and so does the new enemies who enter his family life start to
he's
discover.
He's a cop in the
He's
film.
a cop in the, I mean, a retired cop in the movie, and the star cast is not with Rajni alone. There is Mohanlal involved, there is Sunil involved, and there is also from Karnataka Shivraj Kumar who's involved, and Jackie Shroff who's also there.
Hey, Bidu.
Oh yeah, so it's going to be a huge one.
Involved.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, if Jackie Shroff's involved, and this is a police man story, then you've got Simba, you've got Ajay Devgan, you've got Ranveer Singh, you've got Salman Khan.
Rajni is Rajni.
And then maybe finally
Talaiva,
all of them can come and do a crossover with Rajnikant also.
I
Make a box office fame.
Talaiva is Talaiva. That is it. End of story.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to share the silver screen with them anyway. He is.
But there was a time in which he had shared with Bollywood actors. He has shared this. I mean,
proper merchandise people are carrying. Like there are cars that have the right kind of livery on them.
Kabir, the kind of mania that you have stickers on cars. You have people dressed like him appearing. You'll have all these, especially when it comes to the first day shows, right? You'll have those Rajini flags that are there with the star Rajini's picture in the center, and with the star mania that is also there. There you have people in fact having face painted themselves. That's the kind of inside the theatre there. That is the excitement that you're going to look at. And trust me, if you're looking at the first day, first show, you won't be able to see. Okay, I can see Kabir dancing.
Guys, ladies and gentlemen, Varghese is dancing.
I am not dancing. Kabir was dancing right over here when he saw with all that.
You weren't able to see it, but Varghese was dancing here in the studio. Anyway, it seems like we've covered up most of the stories. Of course, Brij Bhushan is something that we'll have to look at again. Prime Minister's reply in the Parliament is again going to be our focus. Varghese, you were supposed to tell us the onion prices if you visited the mandi yesterday.
Oh, yesterday, interestingly enough, I got onions for 30 rupees for a kilo. It was 25 rupees the previous week, but there was a 5 rupee increase. But tomatoes from 200 came down to 170, and pumpkins have started arriving in the market. So that was around 20 rupees for 250 grams. And
sir, that's okay.
I was just giving.
So mandi update coming from Varghese. Onions.
Kabir, have you gone to a mandi? Have you gone to a mandi?
Yes, of course I have, sir. Of course I have. I'm not married yet. And also the price of tomatoes have come down. They have come down. So they are at a 170 mark
170
right now.
is what I purchased
This is just
yesterday.
a mandi in Noida. Near Sector 40. So
because the previous week it was running at 200,
for the entire nation.
200, I was thinking it come down a little, come down.
But onions are going to make you shed a tear or two. Reading here, I think this is something that we can pick up at 8 p.m. today under global lenses. Of course, the Biden administration planning to issue new restrictions on American investments in certain advanced industries in China to protect national security.
Now, how do they define that?
Well, God knows and Biden knows. That's all the time we have for you. Many thanks, Varghese, for joining me here in the studio. Many thanks. Keep watching News 9 live for more updates.
Chat GPT. It can generate codes and human-like responses through text, write stories, and do a lot more.
I work in a newsroom with anchors, researchers and scriptwriters, graphic artists, producers, video editors,